think that's too liquid. I haven't got time to redo it.
Welcome to WatchMojoUK, and today we're counting down our picks for the biggest cake catastrophes, muffin mishaps, and dessert disasters to affect dishes during the history of the Great British Bake Off and its various spin-offs.
Here we go.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Number 20. Eiffel Tower Tumble. Cakes.
Terry is aiming even higher.
Hot weather and making delicate temperature-sensitive desserts are a terrible mix. Well, in 2018 Series 9, the Great British Bake Off contestants had to battle a heat wave in the second episode. For the showstopper, Terry Hardill, with his majestic moustache, created a champagne and strawberries Eiffel Tower collar cake.
This is awful.
His version of the iconic French structure was formed from chocolate, known for melting in high temperatures. And that's exactly what happened.
That is just unbelievably bad. Whoa!
While Terry managed to catch it before the tower fell to the ground, it soon disintegrated within his hands right before the end of the allotted time. As a result, he presented his creation without the Eiffel Tower's top.
Bad luck, Terry. No problem.
Thank you, Terry.
Number 19. Fielding the Destroyer. Caramel. Usually it's the bakers or an act of God that causes their dishes to have an issue. It's not typically a presenter that causes devastation. However, in 2024's Series 15, Noel Fielding was the wrecker of Nellie Gaffar's work.
This is leftovers. We could throw this at someone, couldn't we?
During the episode Caramel, he took some of Nellie's leftover dough and threw it at Andy Ryan to catch in his hat. When Andy returned it, Fielding used a rolling pin to bat it.
Boom.
Boom. Barasa, bam, bam.
However, he struck Nellie's bowl of caramel mixture, causing it to smash on the floor. Yikes. Nellie, who was a fan favorite in this series, took it all in her stride and made a new one. She also added that if she's eliminated, Fielding would be driving her home in a pushcar.
I make new sauce.
Number 18. I'm Done Pastry. After inadvertently causing chaos with Fielding in a previous episode, Andy had his own mishap experience.
Andy's pecan and date mousseline pari breast will sit on a stand made of toffee.
In the episode Pastry, the showstopper had the contestants forming a Paris breast. Naming his creation as All You Need Is Love, Andy created a toffee podium. However, just as he was building it with 10 minutes left, the podium began to fall, causing him to grab it, which smashed it to bits.
Oh, fudge.
Andy's exclamation of fudge resonated with us all. After uttering he was done, the unfortunate baker tried to continue building, but struggled to make it work. Nellie attempted to comfort him, but Andy was clearly devastated.
What happened with the base?
My first batch it just shattered.
Sadly, this contributed to him being eliminated from the competition.
Andy.
Number 17. Oven Snapper. Forgotten Bakes.
I really think you look well organised. I think it's possible you'll pull it off, so...
You can't get much more unlucky than having an appliance deciding to give up when you're mid-bake. Unfortunately, in 2017 Series 8, Stacey Hart experienced just that during the showstopper in the quarterfinal episode Forgotten Bakes. While checking on her bright lemon and orange Savoy cake in the oven, Stacey quickly closed the door, causing a snapping sound, and panicked to cover her face.
I just broke the oven.
She then realized that she'd broken the door from the hinges. Like a good egg, Stephen Carter Bailey offered Stacey to share his oven. However, still panicking, she rejected the offer. Instead, Stacey channeled her inner Hodor and held the door in place.
Could do with maybe a minute or two longer. Hopefully it won't deflate.
Amazingly, she walked away as star baker afterwards. Number 16. Construction collapse. Patisserie.
This is going to be banana tasting, I guarantee.
Making eclairs is already a tricky challenge, but when you combine them with other delicate pastries to form a tower known as a religieuse à l'ancienne, you know you're in for a tricky baking day. In 2015's Series 6, the bakers had to make just that for the showstopper in the quarterfinal episode, Patisserie. When Paul Jagger made his, everything seemed fine, briefly.
It'll stiffen up the icing sugar. Hopefully it's worked.
Shortly before needing to present it to the judges, his creation collapsed under the weight. Paul pointed at never having made a Genoise sponge before as being the culprit. Due to coming last in the technical, Paul's fate was sealed after the collapse as he was eliminated.
So we know you had a problem and it didn't hold up.
However, it's not all doom and gloom. In 2017's festive special, Paul returned and he won the episode. Number 15, Pond Pudding Problem. Desserts.
Pond puddings. I'm imagining frog spawn.
Sometimes a challenge might make it difficult for one or two bakers, but never all of them until 2020's Series 11 came out. In the episode Desserts, for the technical challenge, the bakers had to create the unusual dish of the Sussex pond pudding. Covered with a suet pastry and containing a whole lemon and a caramelized sauce, most people in the UK hadn't heard of this dish before, including the bakers, who were baffled when the instructions were vague on ingredients amounts.
Tell you how much milk you're supposed to add.
Hermine's first attempt broke immediately, while Peter's and Dave's were undercooked.
It has collapsed. That's a shame, but it looks rather impressive.
Mark and Laura's puddings didn't fare much better, with the latter squeezing through as the winner.
Well, at this point, we still normally have a round of applause for the winner, don't we?
Number 14, Flying Disaster, Cake. No one wants an insect to munch on a creation you painstakingly made, especially for a TV competition. However, Sura's reaction to such a problem caused a devastating knock-on effect during the technical challenge.
Bakers, your time is up.
In 2020's Series 11, the first episode titled Cake, Sura placed her 6 miniature pineapple upside-down cakes on the judges' table. However, a fly landed on her work and wanted a snack. So she panicked and grabbed it.
Go away,
Unfortunately, Dave was right behind her with his baked goods. She swung her hand back, knocking most of Dave's cakes from his hands and onto the floor. Thankfully, this didn't cause Dave to be eliminated, while Sura went on to win the challenge.
Don't worry about it, it's fine. I'm sure they can go by what they looked like before I brought them over.
Number 13, Beaumont's Cake Pile, the great stand-up to cancer bake-off.
It'll be ready when it's ready, and you're going to sit down and you're going to eat it and you're going to enjoy it.
If you didn't know who Lucy Beaumont was before she appeared in Series 6 of The Great Stand-Up to Cancer Bake-Off, by the end you definitely did. For the showstopper, the celebrity bakers had to create a Best Day Off novelty cake. Unfortunately for Lucy, her attempt didn't go well at all. The burnt sponge soon fell apart, causing her to improvise a final product that looked like a sewer had exploded over a beach. Paul Hollywood bravely attempted to taste it, only to spit it out and call it bizarre. Later on, he dubbed it one of the program's worst ever cakes.
Can I just do this a second? That's your cake? That's your sponge?
On the plus side, Lucy was able to use the experience to get an ADHD diagnosis. Number 12, Liquid Souffle. Final. When we think of the most difficult baked goods to create, soufflés are at the top due to how delicate they are.
This is a wing it situation.
So when the Bake Off team wanted to test their top bakers in the final of 2019's Series 10, the technical involved making 6 Stilton soufflés. Sadly, Steph Blackwell made the grave error of using cold water in the item's bath instead of warm water.
Well, cold water in the bain-marie was not a good idea.
As a result, this greatly reduced how much her soufflés cooked.
I just feel a bit stupid.
When Steph took the pots from the oven and placed them on the tray to be served, the barely cooked soufflés had hardly solidified and oozed out. Heartbroken, a tearful Steph did her best to make them presentable, but it was an impossible task.
Doesn't matter, alright?
I know.
Number 11, Bon Appetit, the great stand-up to cancer bake-off.
Great flavour, not very well executed.
Story of my life.
There's perhaps been no other mistake in the franchise's history as legendary as James Acaster's signature challenge of topped flapjacks in Series 2 of the Great Stand-Up to Cancer Bake Off. As detailed by the comedian later, he was severely jet-lagged and hadn't slept in 36 hours, which the show omitted him stating during the episode.
I put loads of salt on it for a laugh.
Instead, they showed James being cocky, asking for the Hollywood handshake early on, but that was until his flapjacks wobbled when he took them out the oven, causing a wall of existential crisis to collide with him. When presenting his porridge flapjacks to the judges, James's explanation of
Started making it, had a breakdown. Bon appetit.
will rightfully live in TV folklore forever. Number 10, Louise's Biscuit merge. Biscuits.
What happened?
I don't know.
Though Louise had made her biscuit recipe many times before, she found herself in a nightmarish situation when her first round went into the oven and quickly collapsed on themselves, merging together to become one giant super cookie. While we certainly wouldn't mind eating it, she knew it wouldn't fly with the judges.
Louise, you've got a broken heart.
You're telling me?
That broken heart cookie perfectly represented what we were feeling as viewers when we watched poor Louise go through this ordeal. The judges weren't impressed by the failed stained glass window biscuits that Louise was aiming for, and she was eliminated later that episode.
I think we can safely say these are not coming off the plate, can't we?
Number 9, Doret's Black Forest Collapse. Cakes. In the season premiere of the 6th series of Bake Off, the contestants were charged with making their spin on a classic Black Forest gâteau for the showstopper round. But Doret was off to a rough start when her mousse didn't set properly, making it impossible for her cake to retain any structural integrity.
No, because it's just a cake.
It's not just a cake.
It is just a cake.
She was understandably devastated when her gâteau completely collapsed, leaving a gooey mess instead of a pretty end result. Despite this major error though, she managed to stay in the competition for another couple of episodes after the incident. Number 8, James's Crumbling Barn. Biscuits quarterfinal.
This isn't at all my sort of baking, but I have come around to this challenge.
For the quarterfinal of the 3rd series of Bake Off, James Morton endeavoured to make a wooden frame gingerbread barn, but it ended up falling apart, forcing him to put a spooky spin on it, calling it a haunted bar, and even adding cobwebs.
It's a total disaster. It's gone from looking rather lovely to absolute disaster.
While what he intended was an indisputable failure, the end result wasn't actually that bad, and he was even named Star Baker that week. Not only that, but he ended up in the final of the show, and has been successful ever since.
If that's the look you were going for, top mark.
Number 7, Ruby's Toppling Cake, vegan.
Yeah, so I have dowels in there because obviously it's quite a tall cake. So I want to make sure it looks all nice and sturdy. I don't want any wonky cakes.
Baking using only vegan-friendly ingredients can be tricky enough, but creating a gorgeous tiered cake without using eggs and dairy like you used to can result in complete chaos. That's what happened for Ruby in Series 9 when her showstopper couldn't stand up on its own.
I don't think that's gonna... Uh-oh.
When the clock ran out in the baker's time, her cake wasn't stable, so she was forced to leave the tent and hope for the best. But the other contestants watched helplessly from outside as the dessert slowly toppled over onto her workstation. Ooh.
Oh, it's coming, it's coming, it's gonna fall.
Number 6, Mary's Oven Mishap. Biscuits.
Oh, I don't think Muffin's done the right thing. What to do?
Sometimes the bakers encounter errors when working with complex techniques that are beyond any of us at home anyway. But other times, they make rookie mistakes just like anyone else would. One example of this was in Series 6 when Mary forgot to turn on her oven during the technical bake, realizing what had happened when there was no time left to fix it.
Bakers, 3 minutes on your cinnamon swirls of doom. 3 minutes.
This came as an extra shock since she had been named the first star baker of the series in the prior episode. Unfortunately, this mistake contributed to her being eliminated.
A nice texture inside. The pity there's not 8.
Number 5. John's Salty Sweets Cake.
Oh, I've messed up big style here.
John Waite eventually became the winner of the 3rd series of Bake Off, but in the season premiere, things didn't look too hopeful for this baker. During the technical challenge, the contestants were charged with making rum bubbas, and John mistakenly used salt instead of sugar in his dough.
I'm just trying to slice off the salted part of the baba. I'm fighting for my place in the competition now.
The results were about as disastrous as you would imagine, with Mary refusing to touch them and Paul spitting them out.
Oh, jeez. What is it, Paul? There's too much salt in there.
Somehow, though, John only came second to last in the ranking, managing to edge out Natasha, who was eliminated that episode. Number 4, Danny's failed fondants. Puddings.
Are you a good multitasker, Danny? I sense you are.
I
sense
am,
you are.
in some respects.
For the signature bake in the 6th episode of the 3rd season, the contestants were asked to make 2 different types of sponge pudding, and Danny opted for a banoffee pudding with walnut butterscotch sauce, as well as Jubilee chocolate fondants.
Oh no!
Oh. Just as she took her fondants out of the oven, however, 2 of them slid off the baking tray and were upended onto the floor and her trainers. She was understandably discouraged, but the blunder didn't stop her from staying in the running for another few episodes.
It's ruined. It's absolutely ruined. I'm so going out.
Number 3, Sue's muffin mistake. Bread.
That had an injury, blunt force trauma that involved my elbow.
Sometimes the bakers are the only ones to blame for the issues that befall them, but other times there is outside interference that can't be helped. In one instance of this, host Sue unintentionally put her elbow into Howard's English muffins, seriously denting them.
Howard, I need to break something to you. I think that's my elbow. I think that's my elbow on your muffin.
And this wasn't the only time one of the presenters got involved in one of the baker's creations, in a bad way. In the same series, Mel accidentally knocked over Francis's biscuit tower, but it clearly didn't impact her success, because Francis would go on to win the competition.
Yep, you're okay.
Oh no. Oh God.
Number 2, Custardgate. Desserts.
I've got to make that into proper custard, and I've got 2 types of caramel to make.
It seemed as though Howard couldn't avoid disaster in Series 4, and it started to seem like bad luck was following him everywhere. Just 1 episode after the incident with Sue and the English muffins, Howard was making an apple and caramel trifle when Deborah accidentally used the custard that he made for her own tropical trifle when she took the wrong bowl from the fridge.
Where's my custard? Oh no!
I'm so sorry, Howard.
She was appropriately apologetic and offered up her own custard for Howard to use, and luckily the judges were willing to acknowledge what had happened and judge the results accordingly.
I'm sure that 1 custard's as good as another.
No, 1 love, 1 custard.
Number 1, Bingate. Desserts.
It's a mess, disasters, revolting.
Mushroom soup?
Ask any Bake Off fan what the most dramatic moment in the show's history is, and they'll undoubtedly agree it was this one. Dubbed Bingate by fans and the press, this incident took place in the 5th series in the desserts episode when the contestants were asked to make versions of a baked Alaska for their showstopper.
Where's my ice cream?
It's here, sorry Ian,
Ian's dessert was chilling when fellow baker Diana removed it from the fridge for an indeterminate amount of time, causing it to melt in the sweltering heat. While this would have been an unfortunate occurrence, Ian made it a true disaster when he had an understandable tantrum and threw the entire dessert into the bin.
I got a serving suggestion.
Oh! No, go.
What's the most difficult dessert you've attempted to make at home? A chocolate souffle, croquembouche, baklava, bread and butter pudding, or something else? Let us know about all your tasty creations below in those comments. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojoUK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.